Okay, so before you start my countdown, David Lee, wherever you are, I owe you a beer. As a former Cat 2 racer, my dad was the guy who founded Airglow Bicycle Painting, and he's one of the 2 dudes in the country that does painting at the highest level, you know, with Richard Cunningham at Cycle Art. He's one of the dudes, so we need to get a beer sometime. Your work is amazing. Okay, so I guess my countdown has started already. What I do, I spend my day thinking about the design of cities and neighborhoods and streets and parks and buildings and blocks. And Charleston is a tremendous inspiration for us because obviously we have this incredible urban environment that we are lucky to live in. And this environment, what you see here, this is King Street, has been the setting for a cultural renaissance, mostly in the hospitality industries. And this has given us, you guys see this, the #1 place to visit in the world, but not the #1 place to live. So I'm going to present to you guys 10 ideas to build a better Charleston. Now, as I'm waiting for my slides to queue up. Okay, so in reverse order. Okay, so this is the Sartorialist, right? Everybody knows that blog, showing that bicycle sharing can be a sexy thing to do. So we need a bicycle and car sharing service. Now, some of these projects we're currently working on, some of them are fictitious. It's up to you to guess which are real. We need to ditch the cruise ships and instead have a ferry service. This is a ferry service that will get you to North Charleston, Mount Pleasant, Sullivan's Island, Folly Beach, all that stuff, just like you would take a cab. This is a tricky one. So this is our research, new stuff. If you're hit by a car and the car is going less than 20 miles an hour, you'll live. If you're hit by a car going over 40 miles per hour, you won't. So this is new research. We think there should be 4 kinds of streets in general. There should only be 4 kinds of streets. Forget all the other classification stuff, just 4 types. Safe streets for people, and then fast streets for cars, and then 2 kinds in between. We think downtown, where people and bicycles and cars interact, there should be a universal speed limit of 20 miles per hour. Now, this is Graz, Austria. They did this in 1989. They had a universal 20 mile per hour speed limit and a 30 mile per hour speed limit for arterial roads, main roads. There was a 17% decrease in bike ped injuries and a 24% accident reduction overall. And that has sustained itself over the years. And it's similar. So this is the port. This is Market Street right here. You guys see Market Street? This is going to be redeveloped in short order, and we think that instead of doing it the way that it's currently planned, this is our counter proposal, we think that we should build canals instead. And the cool thing about this, there's a lot of advantages to canals. One of the cool things about it is that we can dig all this stuff out, and then we can use it to raise up the land that's left so it's above the flood zone. So we think generally there are a lot of advantages to building canals and that we should adopt that as a method in Charleston generally. Number 6, okay, if you've ever tried to buy anything after 5 p.m. downtown, you know how frustrating it is. So we think we should unify the shopping hours everywhere in Charleston to 9 p.m. So number 5, in 1912, you could take a streetcar from anywhere in the peninsula to the Isle of Palms, to Mount Pleasant, to North Charleston. You could take a streetcar anywhere in the city. That system has been totally dismantled. We think we should rebuild it completely so that you can, just like you could 100 years ago, travel anywhere in the city without a car. We have an incredible design industry here. Pecha Kucha has celebrated that. We need a design week festival to showcase all the graphic designers and architects and all the people who make this city the incredible creative powerhouse that it is. Number 3 is that while we've done a lot of great things in the city, we have really left education behind. We think there should be a great neighborhood school within a 10-minute walk of everywhere in the city of Charleston. And that also means a safe walk as well. So a 5-year-old can do it without being worried. Now, this is St. Philip Street, currently, in its current condition. You guys have seen this. We think St. Philip Street should be converted to a bicycle boulevard. Now, this is a specific kind of street where bicycles actually have the right-of-way over cars. It's different from a typical street. And these are examples from other cities, Portland and, you know, all the cities that do things right, where bicycles have priority over cars. And they include things like bike boxes at the front of the intersection where bicycles can congregate, and then the light sends them ahead of cars. This is the way that we should handle our streets. And number one on the list is that we think we need a network of pedestrian priority streets. Now, just like every great city in Europe, you know, we go to Europe and they have these great streets that have people walking everywhere freely without the intervention of vehicles. We think we should have these in Charleston as the only North American city to do this because we're closely related to our European cousins. Well, this is what George Street could look like instead. So we get rid of all the signage, all the traffic lights, all that bullshit, and we just have cobblestones and street signs and fountains instead. And we think this is accomplishable all over the city. And by the way, that includes King Street, which is where we should start. So we think that King Street should actually be our very first pedestrianized street in the city. And that doesn't mean that it has to be pedestrians only. You know, we can still have cars. You just make it hard for cars to drive there, which is basically what we have already. So, in conclusion, we think that Charleston has really been through a tremendous cultural renaissance, but we are no longer functioning on the same level as other cities in the Southeast. We're now working on the same level as cities globally. So we need to be as good as Zurich in terms of quality of life, as good as Melbourne, as good as cities like Copenhagen. So we need to recalibrate ourselves to a different level of competition, not just the best city to visit. So thank you guys. Thank you.